does this phrase, does it motivate you? Does it motivate you? Does it, I mean, obviously, like we all want to be winners, right? I mean, nobody wants to be a loser or a quitter or whatever, but just because we quit doesn't mean that we're not winners. And if we go through and we filter everything that we do through that phrase or any other maybe well-meaning yet misguided phrase, then we can really find ourselves stuck if we felt like we can't quit something. So if you told me that I could try this new dance class, but I can't quit, then what are my chances of even trying it? Probably not. I'm probably not going to try it, especially now, and maybe even as a kid. So kind of what prompted all of this, I saw a video, and it was a lady talking about how her mom let her quit everything. She was like, my mom let me quit everything. It was like, my dad wasn't really happy about that. He thought that I should stick with it, stick with things and, see my commitment through. And yes, there is validity in that. However, what that did for her later was allow her to quit things that didn't work for her, that really weren't in her best interest. And so she really didn't give it another thought because she had always been allowed to quit those things that she didn't want to do. And I don't know if you're like me, but I know for me, there's been a lot of things that I haven't quit because of various reasons. And we'll kind of talk about those. But what if you never quit something? What if you never quit? Where would you be? For the entrepreneur, you'd probably still be at the corporate soul-sucking job, right? Because you didn't have the courage to get out or to quit and go follow your passion. For a domestic abuse survivor, they quit a relationship. Well, that may have saved their life, or just getting out or quitting a toxic environment. We've probably all had those, throughout our career. And so what if you didn't quit any of those things? Like, where would you be? And so I really believe that one of the greatest skills that we can have for our business and for our life, and those things intertwine, very closely and very tightly, is to know when to quit, to know when to change direction, to know when to give up or release something that isn't working for you and move on to something else, to demand more out of life than what you're getting. And so with that skill, I think that will serve us well to win at life. And if we're winning at life, likely we're going to win at business also, right? So one of the things that I'm actually not talking about with this is quitting recklessly, okay? We want to consider these things with responsibility and integrity. So when I say quit, obviously I'm not asking you to abandon your children, quit your job and have no money and that sort of thing. But I am asking you to consider it a different way. So if we say that the skill of quitting is one of the greatest ones, how do we know when to quit then? And we kind of have to take a step back when we think about that part, because the first thing that we have to do is know what it is that we want. To be very clear about what we want, what we value. And, sometimes we don't stop long enough to think about that or to wonder within ourselves other than what someone else has given us. So if you've taken on the expectations of being what your parents thought that you should be, then is that what you want? Or is that what you were told that you want? And maybe you do, but we want to explore our own desires and our own, very personal, intrinsic goals that we have. And so knowing those from a life standpoint and from a business standpoint, knowing what you want, then provides you your GPS system for all of the decisions after that. And then that can be your filter versus a well-meaning yet maybe misguided phrase that will filter through. And so knowing what you want, what your goals are, and valuing yourself enough to allow yourself to have it and to want it. And allowing ourselves, I think, is sometimes the hard part, because we go, oh my gosh, it makes us selfish. And, I put everybody else first, and what I want doesn't matter. And, absolutely it does. And we'll talk about that also, but it definitely creates our capacity for more. And I don't mean like more that, what I mean is more that we can do. So it's a little counterintuitive at times. But whenever we know what it is that we want, then we'll have indicators when we're not in alignment with that. And I feel like you're sitting back here. I'll play. Look both ways. And so when you have that internal GPS system that I was talking about, when you're off of that, when you're maybe off the track or whatever, there'll be an indicator of that. And it's our feelings. Like our feelings are just our indicator, right? They're our check engine light. We have to look at those for what they're trying to tell us. And so it may be resentment. And, let's say a situation that you're in, or a job that you're in, or someone that you're dealing with, or whatever. So resentment is a big indicator that there's something there that you might want to look at. And maybe it's something to quit. Maybe it's not. Dread. We all dread going to work on Mondays sometimes. The dentist. You might not want to quit the dentist, but that's the responsibility integrity part, so we have to be discerning about these things. But my point is that there is a lot that we allow and we continue without being conscious of that. With our indicators, though, your body will tell you so many things, and we have the wisdom within us already. Our subconscious mind knows long before our conscious mind ever will know anything. And then your conscious mind will give you 400 reasons why you shouldn't do, so if your conscious mind knew what your subconscious mind knew, like it would completely talk you out of all of it. There are 1,000 reasons why not to do that. And people will think you're weird. You're not going to be good at that. You're not, so that conscious mind is that filter, and it's all the layers that people have put on you, that society has put on you, that school has put on you, those sorts of things. So there's all these different filters, right? And layers of things that are there on your conscious mind. And so one of the things that there is a way that we can get down to that. And we can talk about this later if y'all are interested. It's really very interesting to tap into your subconscious mind, like when you need to make decisions and things like that. And so what you want, if you're out of alignment, and then kind of assess why you're not quitting something, if that's the route that you feel is best. Because we all do have trepidation about that. You know, maybe it is the expectation of others, the fear of disappointing them. I know that I have not quit jobs because I haven't wanted to disappoint somebody or been afraid of what people thought. And that sometimes is a big one. I remember leaving the last full-time HR job that I had. It was a vice president of human resources. And I was going through a particularly trying personal situation, and I just couldn't deal. And I was going into work dealing with problem after problem after problem. And I would cry every single day driving into work. And one day I was just like, I remember praying, and like the answer was like, you have to quit. What? Wait a minute. No, you don't understand. This is a good paying job. Like, surely there's some other answer to this. This is a good paying job. People are going to think I'm crazy if I do this. Like, I don't have a reason. Like, I don't have another job lined up. And have you ever had where then like you pray some more, like, oh, please just like tell me this is right. Like, show me the sign that this is right. You know, just confirm like what you just told me. But I couldn't even do that because I just knew. I knew that was what I had to do. And so I did it. And, you know, not one person told me I was crazy. Now, they may have thought it, but luckily they didn't tell me, you know. But what I did hear was, good for you. Way to go. And I'm like, wait, what? That's not what that's not what I'm expecting, you know. So some of that stuff is, you know, we have to figure out if that's made up in our head also, right? And so that kind of goes back to those beliefs and thoughts that, you know, just like our initial statement, sometimes that initial statement, it's beliefs and thoughts that are in the back of our mind that we're not even conscious about. And so we really have to, you know, look at like, whose stigma is this? And am I willing to play along, or do I want to break out of that? Am I willing to go my own way? And, you know, and that's a personal decision that each one of us have to make. And maybe that's not something that you struggle with, but for me, I certainly did. You know, and then just fear of, you know, I'm sure we all had fear quitting, you know, the corporate type job to then do something else, but we did it anyway, right? So there's always a trade-off either way. And so if there's something that, you know, you're needing to quit, what's the trade-off and what's the cost for you? Sometimes it's okay to take it, you know, and as long as you're doing that very consciously, then, you know what you're up against and you know what you're going to have to deal with. And, you know, it's like, if I say yes, because I sometimes will make cakes for people. If I make cakes for people, then that's a no for me to my painting, because that takes me away from that. And that's an extremely small example of that. Simone Biles is someone who had to decide what she wanted to trade. Did she, and I know the country is divided on this, but the way that I see it is that she made a decision for her mental health, and she made a decision about that over the Olympics. And that is a trade-off. She probably could have stayed there. You know, we all have pushed through, powered through, trudged through, just kept going, when at the same time, like, we're trading our mental health for that, or we're trading our physical health for that. And so I see that as just an incredible act of self-care on her part. And choosing something so coveted as, an Olympic medal, perhaps, but even being at the Olympics, to choose yourself for that. And so, the way I see it, she didn't quit on herself. It's what that boils down to. So once we look at all of those things, then we're assessing why we're not quitting. We're going to get help with that. We're going to talk to somebody. We are going to quit going it alone, right? And we're going to ask other people. That's the one thing about this group and other groups that I've been in, like WEDC and other groups with strong women, is, that you have these people to bounce things off of. Chances are somebody has been through what it is that you're going through. If you are in a career transition, if you are in a life transition, Angela and I have, very similar experiences with, aging parents. We're just all at different places in our lives right now, and we all need support. So that's a little caveat that wasn't built into there, but that's a good chalk up to win and what win in a group like this is good for. But one of the things that I wanted to, and this may be the biggest impact to me, has been this next thing that I'm going to talk about. And it has changed my mind on so many things and opened me up to do so much more without the guilt and worry and all the junk that goes along with that. And that is reframing. So if quitting sounds like it's a negative to you, let's reframe that and let's call it something else. Right? So if the connotation to quitting is negative, what if we just stop something? What if we cease? What if we change directions? And I really like that one. I really like the changing directions, because we can do that at any point. And we're not locked into one way or another. We get so black and white. And I am speaking about myself here. Okay. I hope you all are not like this. But from my experience, I have been very black and white. It's either right or it's wrong. It's either good or it's bad. It's, I have this job but I have an offer from here. I don't want to make the wrong decision. Well, here's the thing. If I reframe right and wrong decision to, you can't go wrong with either one. Like, neither one's wrong. So then you're winning either way. And it's the same with quitting, right? And so we have to reframe some of those things in our mind to say it differently. Words are powerful, and what we speak over our lives, over our businesses, over our friends, over other women, these words have power. And so choose a word that's powerful. If quitting isn't your power word, that is fine. There are many, many others. Just grab a thesaurus. Choose one that feels good to you. Earlier, when I said giving up something that doesn't serve you and moving on, sometimes giving up is negative also. So maybe say you're releasing that. I'm releasing this. It is not working for me anymore. So I'm just releasing that and moving on. I even heard somebody say recently about weight loss, how we always say, I've got to lose weight, but we feel like it's a loss. And so say that you're releasing the weight, like you're releasing And again, it's just a different connotation in your mind, but these words matter to your mind. Okay. So that's the important part of that. And I want you all to be thinking about this. Okay. And so maybe we can either put it in the chat or when we go around, to be thinking about something that you would want to quit. Maybe you have a desire of something that you want to quit, or you want to release, or you want to change direction, or you want to just think about that and like choose it. If you don't like the word quit, choose a different word and try it out. So see how it feels when you say it. And so if you say it out loud and you go, I don't like that one, like you can say that. Just say, let me try another one, because speaking it out loud will help solidify it within you. And then we can all hear it. And so it is. Then we will all believe with you for that. For some of us, the big quits are way easier than the small quits, right? So the job, yes, while it was hard, I mean, it's easier to quit a job, right? It's easier sometimes. It's easier to quit the big things. Most of us have already done that, right? I mean, like most of us have our own businesses. We've, changed direction. Like we're kind of where we're going, right? And so we might not necessarily, have some of those worries, but what about the smaller ones? What about the smaller things that we need to quit? Quit beating ourselves up about something. Quit putting off our happiness. Quit trying to do everything alone. What else? Anything else? Because those are just important as the bigger ones. Maybe even more so, because these are the ones on a day-to-day basis that will either move us toward our goal or further from it. And so that's what we can be thinking about whenever we have those things. Run that back through the filter of number one, your desires, your values, your goals, your dreams. Run that back through the filter of that. And is this helping that? Is it moving me forward? Or am I staying stuck, or am I moving backwards? You have your own GPS system. Check in with yourself. It's the great thing about being a woman, right? We just have to stop all the noise first to be able to really hear that and dig down in there to get it. And one of the biggest reasons that I'm telling you all of this, and this again goes back to the beginning where I was talking about, is counterintuitive, but whenever we are happy, whenever we are, and I'm choking, excuse me. That's good water. Whenever we are living in that place of alignment, what that creates for us is capacity, greater capacity to do anything and everything that we can't do when we are sad and sick and miserable. And I'm talking to us women, and it's me too. Y'all, I don't even have kids, but I give away my time, and I am make everything else a responsibility other than myself sometimes. And I always know that. I always feel it because I get very irritable, and I'm like, hey, what's going on here? And it's like, okay, you're giving too much. You're giving too much. Like Julie needs some time too. But when I'm at the aligned place, I can still do so much. I can affect more people. I can do more. I can give more, but it's kind of like if you have a tank of gas and that's all you've got. And so you don't have anything coming in, like, It's not coming in. And you give and give and give and give and give and give. And eventually that little gas tank is going to run dry. And if you don't have a way to put anything back into the tank, then there's not going to be anything to go out. And what's going out will not be authentic, and it will not be out of a place of abundance and love where it should be. And that is most impactful. But if your tank is continuously flowing from those things that fill you up, then you are just given, from off the top, and it just keeps coming. And so, again, we've got to know what quitting is like clogging up our little gas tank there. So think about as we go through, if you don't mind sharing, this is a safe place. We all have something, it's, I'll even think of one for myself. Quitting saying yes when I want to say no. That's a big one for me. And a lot of times it'll sound good at the time. And then when it's time, it's like, oh man. So sometimes I launch out with a yes, and I don't think about it. So I really want to quit saying yes when I really mean no or not right now. So think about that for you. Think about what word that you want to use with that. If quitting sounds good, if releasing, whatever. And just let us be in that with you. The one thing that I want to leave you with is that the things that you quit are just as important as the things that you continue to do. All right. So the only thing you don't quit is you. All right. That's it. Do you have any questions, comments, snide remarks? No, none of those. None of those.
I thought that was really great. It reminded me a lot of, and I don't have, my computer's not working the keyboard, or else I would have put a lot in the chat. So sorry. But I thought it was really cool. It reminds me of the book Love Does by Bob Goff. He talks a lot about everything you talked about. Have you read that before?
I have not.
Okay, it's really good. You need to
I
read
will
it.
have to.
That's basically what the whole book is. But he doesn't say to quit. He says to say yes to everything. But he says every single Thursday he quits something. So like he said, your life's never going to change unless you're willing to quit. Nothing's ever going to change. So, and every Thursday, that's what he says. Every Thursday, today's Thursday. What are you going to quit today? So, but yeah,
I like that.
if I say quit, I would say I'm going to quit eating so much. So that's my quit.
Gotcha. It is so, and so it is. Super. Well, and we have to, realize that when we say yes to something else, and again, I'm talking to myself, when we say yes to something else, we are saying no to us. In essence, in a lot of ways. Sometimes maybe not, but for the most part, and especially if you're in a business trying to start something, trying to do something, trying to, if your yes is not aligned, then it just takes you away from what it is you're trying to do. Okay, so Theresa says, I'm releasing the extra stuff that I put on my shoulders that are not my problem. Woo! Yes, girl. Yes. She also says she's releasing the unnecessary weight. And that is, we all probably have a lot of unnecessary weight, and it's not on our hips, right? It is, well, like she said, it's on our shoulders. But yeah. Yeah. Patty says she is quitting this family if we do not give her any food. She's making noises. It's so funny. Okay, so again, you can either put your quit in the chat, or when we go around, you can say yours. Again, you're in a supportive environment, and I'm so glad that each of you are here, and I just want the best for you. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. We are so grateful for that message, because I know for me, it really hit home. I took a lot of notes, and something that I probably need a little bit of help on. We'll talk later. So we've been here in this new location for 6 months, and we knew the drive. We knew it was going to be a long drive when we just to go pretty much everywhere. But what I quickly discovered was getting to school and coming back was taking up a lot of my time, and trying to run my business. I started sitting down and crunching all the numbers. And what I mean by numbers is I was crunching my hours and my minutes, and I was looking at where do I have more time? Because if I drop him off at school and come home and then go back and get him and come home, I'm spending 2 hours on the road. It's an hour round trip. So I had to figure out, how am I going to time manage better? And I don't think I've solved the puzzle exactly. For now, what I'm doing is I'm staying in town. I'm meeting clients in town. I'm doing my work at a coffee shop. I keep saying I'm going back to the gym. I feel like I'm ready to go back to the gym. COVID has kind of put a damper on that. So all that to say, I don't know what the word is that I would use, but I'm trying to pull back time in my favor, because it's the time management that I never used to struggle so much with, that I'm struggling, struggling with now. So you resonated a lot of things. Excuse me, I have a tickle. I wrote down so many notes. I won't tell you guys everything I wrote down, but because I like to read, there was 2 books. So Jenny mentioned Love Does, and Bob Goff is amazing. I follow him on social media, and I actually met him in person. Have you met him ever?
No, that's cool though.
Oh my gosh, he is so awesome. But so our book club just did Soundtracks by John Acuff. And if you've never read any of his books, he's hilarious. I did the audio version because I can drive and listen. So I'm combining things to do.
I love to drive.
Soundtracks is a lot of what we talked about here today. And it's all about the soundtracks that we have in our head that we repeat over and over and over from our childhood into our adulthood. Great read. And the other thing that came to mind was Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud.
I haven't read that, but I've heard it.
Oh my gosh. That one was life-changing for me. I read it probably 20 years ago. And that was, again, like what you were saying about saying yes to when you wanted to say no. And a lot of my yeses were even to my own family. And it gave me permission and confidence to say no. But what I didn't say was no immediately. What I would say was, thank you for thinking of me. Can you give me 24 hours? I'll get back to you. I promise I will. And I did. But when I had that 24 hours to think about it and pray about it, I came back with more confidence of knowing what my answer really was, even though I probably knew it in the moment. But it gave me that time to refresh my spirit, my thoughts, and realign myself, like you were saying. So, yes.
That you feel was saying she got out of the pressure of the duty and obligation and things like that you feel when someone asks you to do something. Mm-hmm. And so I succumb to that greatly. Because I don't want to say no to somebody's face. And,
that reminds me of something Joyce Meyer says often. She says, God gives you the exact amount of time that you need every day to get done what he's asked you to do. So if you're feeling like you don't have enough time, it's because you're doing something he's not asked you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
that goes again back just to the alignment. You'll know, you'll feel it, but that's smart to build in that time to get quiet, because again, that all of that stuff is just noise that complicates your mind.
So that was all that I had to say. I'm just curious if anyone else has anything that they want to say or share. It doesn't have to be anything vulnerable. You can just, I see Marianne has her hand up. So please just unmute yourself and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I just really appreciate that. And I was kind of trying to look at synonyms, other words for quit. And I put it in the chat, but like even transition, I was thinking quit, transition, then I found skedaddle. I got to skedaddle and go do some other things.
Yeah.
So then I looked up realign,
Yes.
reallocate.
I like that.
And then like definition kind of, I've got to, it's time for me to distribute my time, resources, and commitment in a different way.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
I wrote it down. I'll send it to you. It's going to go on my refrigerator.
Yeah, right. Right.
But yeah, thank you.
And it'll throw
it.
people for a loop too, because it's like, oh, okay. And then they'll walk off and they'll be like, wait, they just told me no.
Well, and one other thing that is directly happening with me and my travel agency as everything's was opening up, and then the bookings, cancellations, rebook, cancel, and then people are used to, I don't want to say bugging, contacting me, text on the weekend, Facebook, text Christmas morning at 7:00 in the morning. It doesn't mean that they want me to respond to them. It's just that it's on their head and they want to get it out of their thoughts and before they forget to send me a message. But I will send messages to people and say, I'll get back to you, or let's talk on Monday. I'm only working on the weekend if I've got somebody that's traveling that may need me for an emergency. So I've gotten to where, and basically it just kind of, it silences, it calms. Yeah. And it's my right to do that.
Yeah. It's your boundary.
It's my power.
Your boundary of your time.
And I am getting better about it because so much time and resource and money went down the toilet with losing a year and a half of business, that it's really basically made me say, what is the investment of my time? What is that going to go towards? And I've got to be willing to not say, oh, y'all, I'm so sorry, I can't do this. And Julie, you know that firsthand.
Yeah.
You've been with me when I was like, I gotta do this. And
yeah.
So like I have lots of emergencies, and I just need to, give people a deadline and say, I'm out. So after 16 years, you would think that I would know that in this with this company. But anyway, thank you. It's just a reaffirmation. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I don't know that this is ever something that we completely master, but it's, I have to remind myself and try again. And, I have been better at quitting, beating myself up about it. I try to give more grace now and be like, that's not what I wanted to do. Shoot, I wish I had done this differently, or, okay, I'll try again next time. And we just, we need to be a lot nicer to ourselves about a lot of these things.